At Direct Service Garage Doors, we are your one-stop shop for all things garage door. From garage door repair and broken spring replacement to new garage doors and openers, we do it all. We're proud to be among the highest-rated local garage door companies in all of Northwest Arkansas. Our highly trained technicians are available 24 hours a day at no extra cost to you. So if you have an emergency, call us today, 479-203-5880, or visit our website at directservicenwa.com. Don't wait days. We'll fix it now.
Three, two, one, yo! What's going on, Arkansas Razorback fans? Welcome to Hogville Net postgame show. Not exactly the way we want to go live after that kind of game, but there's some positives here. But of course there's some negatives too that we have to cover. Alongside me, Otis, Kirk. Later on, we will have Dudley Dawson on as well. Otis, thanks for joining me, man. How you doing?
Oh yeah, no problem, man. It was a game where I saw some things that obviously, like you said, there were positives, there were negatives. I've never seen that kind of performance from Malik Hornsby. Now, I know people will say he hasn't had the opportunity, but I'm talking about in practice, scrimmages, or anything. I've never quite seen a performance like that from Malik. He really stepped up. I thought all week he should have played more. I mean, I never got this Cade Porton being number 2 anyway. They snuck that in on us. I never got it. I've never seen anything that they've talked about. He played 11 games in 4 years at North Carolina and South Florida. I'm not being critical. I'm putting out there what's out there. I mean, that's facts. He played 11 games in 4 years at those schools. And then all of a sudden he gets to Arkansas and they keep talking about what a great quarterback and experience. You know, he had 2 starts. I mean, Malik came in and played well. I didn't see, but he had some now Malik didn't play perfectly. When it's 27-10 and they're driving, and it's 3rd down and goal at the 1, and he overthrew Matt Landers, I could have caught that pass if it had been to me and walked in the end zone. I mean, Matt Landers, there was nobody near him. And he threw a bullet over his head. That Kareem Abdul-Jabbar couldn't have called. So yeah, Malik wasn't perfect. He had 2 interceptions. And one of them, I think, if I'm not mistaken, one of his 2 interceptions came on the next play after that, or maybe they got stuffed on the next play. But whatever, he had 2 interceptions, but he had 234 yards passing and rushed for 114. Hey, get this for offensive balance, Ty. 242 yards passing, 241 rushing for Arkansas, 483 yards of offense. That's as balanced as you get. Well, I guess you could be even, but other than that, that's about as balanced as you can get.
Yeah, Hornsby, 8 of 17, 234, 1 touchdown, 2 picks. They're like you said, the offense, I think the offense, they did outperform. What I continue to see, though, is they rack up pretty good yardage, and looking at their total yards, you would think they would have more than just 17 points on the board.
Well, you were right about the red zone. Like I said, I had been sick a couple of games. One, I didn't even see. The other game, I felt bad when I covered the South Carolina game. I hadn't really noticed how bad they were in the red zone, and you're right about that. I'll tell you, though, the biggest one – I can't say it's the biggest negative, but one of the biggest negatives today for me was the 10 penalties for 84 yards. I am so tired of seeing penalties after penalty after penalty. I think there was 3 to start the game. I mean, they had one just real early in the game. I mean, there was 3. I don't mean to start the game, but real early. But 10 penalties for 84 yards, that's so annoying because you can't do that in game 6. Yeah, this is game 6. You can't do that, Ty. You can't keep shooting yourself in the foot. They didn't have the fumble. Well, I guess they didn't lose any fumbles today. They did have the 2 picks. But I'm not going to sit here and criticize Malik Hornsby for 2 interceptions. The kid played outstanding. He gave him a chance. There's some things that happened. I mean, he missed the throw to Landers, but there's some things that happened. They should have had more points for the yard. One thing I think is misleading with the offense, though, I think there was a lot of big plays, the passes to Hazelwood. I think there were some plays that was busted coverage apparently, because I mean no one was you couldn't even see anyone in the vicinity with Hazelwood. There were some busted plays, and I think that allowed Arkansas to get some more yardage. I think the yardage is a little bit more than probably what it should have been if not for that. But it is what it is. I mean, Arkansas had busted plays, and those other teams count those yards, so you got to count them. But I'm just saying it's a little misleading, I think, to look at the offense. I mean, the yardage, but it is what it is. I mean, but yeah, you think I'm still not a fan of the 3-man front, 5 people in the box. I know they're beat up in the secondary, but all you're doing is just dying a slower death when you do that, Ty. You can, I mean, you're dying a slower death. You can choose, you can choose to kill yourself immediately, or you can choose to die immediately, or you can take an hour to do it. I mean, it's just, you've got to, it's okay to do that. And I get why they're doing it. They're beat up. But you've got to bring some pressure on occasion and mix it up. I mean, I understand the 3 with the 5 in the box, but why not every few plays drop somebody else in there, blitz from a safety blitz, corner blitz? I mean, something to just throw them off. Will Rogers had all day back there, and just about every key that I've wrote about this week, the 5 keys to victory, just about every one of them, they failed a bit miserably.
Which is a weekly thing. Every time I fill out like a keys, I did this on one of my other videos.
Yep.
Arkansas doesn't ever reach. They're lucky to get 2 of them.
Yeah,
it's every week.
Penalties, they did cut down on. Well, like I say, they cut down Turner. The 2 interceptions. I guess you can't say they cut down. They had 2 interceptions. So that's misleading. But at least it wasn't a bunch of silly fumbles. Reaching the ball out or just dropping the ball. It was interceptions, and Malik was trying to make something happen. So I can't. There's no way I can be critical of Malik Hornsby. He surpassed anything that I've ever seen from him, and I was proud of the kid. They better kiss the ground he walks on. He didn't quit when he didn't play last week, because if he had, you talking about being ugly today. Like I said, they've got. No, I'm not going to say that. I started to say I'm not going to say what I was getting ready to say. I'm just not going to say it. But
you can text me later. Just text me later.
Well, I'm not going to do it. I can't say it. It wouldn't be right to say it. It goes against everything I've ever tried to do. But anyway, yeah, it was a game where I picked Mississippi State in preseason, Ty, to beat Arkansas, and I was assuming Catalan, Slusher, KJ, everybody was playing. I mean, I still picked Mississippi State in preseason, so it's not a big surprise. I don't know that Mississippi State would have, I think if Arkansas is fully healthy, Mississippi State's fully healthy, Mississippi State probably still wins this game, but probably not anywhere close to the score that they won by. But
yeah, they look like, what I've seen of them, they look like a strong 8-4, 9-3 kind of team, and maybe their ceiling is like 10 wins. I wanted to ask you, there was a 3rd down. Malik Hornsby's putting together a pretty good drive. Then 3rd and 10, they bring Cade Fortin out. 3rd and 10. Now I understand what we've been told about Cade is supposedly he's the better passer. Yeah, we saw what Malik was able to do a little bit today. What did you think of that?
Well, I was critical but somebody said that Hornsby got a little bit of a mild.
No, there was a play where he came out where he was hurt, and Fortin came out and.
Yeah, I thought it was that play I know the play you're talking about. Yeah, it just. Well, to me, and I put on Twitter at halftime, and I don't never second guess and I wasn't second guessing the coaches, but I don't second guess them in public and stuff. We all second guess. I second guess myself in privacy, in private. But I put on the halftime. I said, if Malik Hornsby should play I'm not coaching, but if Malik Hornsby, he should play every play in the second half. And he did. Right. Yeah, that play you're talking about. If Malik Hornsby wasn't injured or at least a little banged up on that play, I don't understand it. I've heard that stuff about Cade Fortin being a better passer. I had a guy tried to tell me last week he's a better passer than KJ. I said, you should never put those words in the same sentence.
What did you think of Hudson Clark playing at middle safety? I kind of thought he was okay.
When you text me last Monday and you told, I think it was Monday or Tuesday, whatever day maybe it was Tuesday, you texted me. The day you texted me and said he was playing middle safety, I told you, I said, I texted you back and I said, I think that's his best position. I think that's a natural position for Hudson. He's not a corner. He doesn't have the speed to play man press corner. He just doesn't. I don't, let's don't get too carried away about Malik. They beat BYU with Malik.
Yeah, I saw that comment. I
don't get too carried away.
I wanted to put that up just to see kind of what the rest of chat thought of that.
Yeah, but no, I think overall, like I said, I'm not going to be critical of Malik Hornsby. I thought he played well, but the rest, some of the defense, I just don't. I mean, you've got to mix up the coverage. You can't just play a straight 3-man rush, 5-man in the box. You can't do that. It get them after time after time after time. And like I said, I'm not being critical of Coach Odom because I know why he's doing it. He's got you got no slusher, you have no cat. But at some point you still got to decide, hey, I've got to mix this up a little bit, and that'd be my criticism. It's just. I thought Rocket had a good game. He had over 100 yards of offense, not rushing, but catching, receiving, and running. I thought Rashad ran well. I thought A.J. Green ran well. I think they ran pretty well. Jaden Hazelwood, let's say he had 3 catches for 113 yards, Ty. And congratulations to Bumper Pool for breaking buddy Tony Bua's record for career tackles. He needed 14 to break it, and he got 14. So, and Drew Sanders had 15 tackles today. And the last time I saw Tony, we were having lunch together out here in Fayetteville. He was doing some roofing back after a tornado, but I know he's proud of Bumper. Tony had a great career here. Bumper's had a great career. And Bumpers is not over with. He's still got 6 more games plus a bowl game to go, and they will go to a bowl game. That's my prediction. I know people are gonna, you're being a homer. No, I'm telling you, my prediction is they'll go to a bowl game.
You think they still make a bowl game?
I think they go to a bowl game. I think the key on that may be beating Auburn. Look, I had them going 9-3. But I had them 4-3 at the break. The only game that I've missed is the A&M game, and they gave that game away. But I had them 4-3 at the break, so they're not that far away from where I thought they'd be. And if you'd have told me KJ was hurt, Catalan, Slusher, God knows who else. I mean, I don't. They're not very far from where I thought they'd be at this point. They're really not. Now, I'm not saying I thought they'd lose by the margin they did. We've already talked about that, and I don't think they would have had they had KJ, Cat, Slusher, and those guys. But they're not that far away. The key to me may be beating Auburn because I think obviously Ole Miss is a lot better than I gave them credit for in preseason. Ty.
Me too.
Yeah. LSU, Missouri. Liberty and those schools, it gets a little easier in November, Ty, just like it was in September. This October schedule, you and I talked about this on some of the first videos we did. That October schedule was absolutely brutal. And it is. And it is and it was and it is. I mean,
Looking at some of the scores around the league here really quick. Tennessee beat LSU 40-13. They absolutely thumped the LSU Tigers.
I didn't see them beating them that bad.
I did too. I picked Tennessee.
Top receiver, Ty.
Yeah.
Tennessee didn't have their top receiver.
Yeah, Tennessee didn't. Yeah, and then Missouri gave Florida a football game. Yeah. 4-2 Gators at home only beat the Tigers, who are 2-4, 0-3 in conference play now. They only lost this thing 24-17 to Florida. Say what you want about Florida at home or Florida at all, but going on the road and holding them to just a 7-point victory, that's pretty impressive.
That's a week after they played Georgia. In all honesty, they should have beaten Georgia. They certainly could have, and probably I can say they should have beaten Georgia up there. That's amazing. I'm not a Drink fan, but he's got them playing good ball.
Yeah, he does. They're
what was that OU Texas score, Ty?
It was pretty bad. It was.
I know it's 49-0 the last time I
is that
heard.
What it was? Yeah.
That wasn't the final, if I'm not mistaken. Tony's
49-0. Yeah.
It was 49-0 when I heard the score. It's a good thing Venables is a defensive genius as a defensive coordinator, because as a head coach, his defensive coordinator skills are lacking.
I'm sorry, but nobody out of the Big 12 should be making the playoffs. I'm not sold on Oklahoma State. Definitely not sold on Kansas. Oklahoma State right now is in a tight game with Texas
today by TCU.
Say that again.
I believe Kansas got barely, but they got beat by TCU.
They did 38-31.
Yeah, it was close.
So I'm not buying TCU. I'm just, the Big 12's garbage.
If it's not Oklahoma State, I agree with you. I'm not ready to write Oklahoma State off. And you've probably seen them more than I have. I've seen very little football, but with all the travel and stuff. If it's not Oklahoma State, I agree with you. Let me just put it that way and leave it at that.
I think they're going to have to. They should have to go undefeated and win their conference title by a pretty wide margin. I'm just not sold on the Big 12.
Well, USC being as good as they are, and Ohio State and Alabama and Georgia, I would imagine they'd have to go undefeated to have any shot, and they still might not make it tie.
And that's absolutely part of the equation there, right?
You got Ohio State, USC, Georgia, and Alabama. I mean, right now, those are my 4 picks. And I mean, if anybody else gets in.
What do you think of that comment there? I'm not saying that either one of us are buying into that, but this is going to be some of the things that we're going to read on Twitter.
Well, here's one thing I will say to CFB with Ash. At least somebody is talking about the defense instead of everybody piling on Kendall Briles and the offense. Mm-hmm. I mean, I sit there, all I get is Kendall Briles stinks. Kendall Briles sucks. And I never hear anything about Barry Odom. And I don't think either one of them should be on the hot seat. Okay. Let me get that out there. But I see the defense missing tackles. I've already talked about the 3-man rush, the 5 in the box. At least somebody is talking about defense and not just sitting here and piling on the offense. There's some.
By the way,
look, I disagree with both of them on certain things. With Briles, like I said at halftime, Timmy Weston asked me, and some others about the Briles. I said I think he's a very good offensive coordinator. He has heads. Nearly every game, he'll have a call or two where you scratch your head saying, "What in the heck was that?" But I still think he's good. I think Barry Odom is a very good defensive coordinator, but I don't agree with everything he does. I don't.
You guys make sure you go to hogville.net, check out the latest and the greatest from the greatest. So it's Kirk, Dudley Dawson, Kevin McPherson. There's not that's a hell of a staff right there. People writing. Make sure you subscribe here. We will have Dudley Dawson on next here in a little bit.
Yeah, and Ty Hudson's the best at what he does. He's bragging on me. Let me just return a little of that because, I'm not saying that because I'm with him. I said that before Lanny ever hired him. I put that out there before Lanny Beavers ever hired him. So I've said that before. So don't.
I appreciate that. Thank you.
Yeah, I've said that before.
Thank you. It's nice to get. I've been hit with. I was told last week I'm a sunshine pumper. Then I was told I'm too negative. And
I don't know. They hate us all, Ty. They hate all the coaches. They hate all the players. They hate everybody in the media when they're losing. It's just
I don't know how to make these people happy. I don't know what to do. I don't
know
what
how to make people happy. Don't worry about it. Just be yourself. Say what you believe. And if they hate your butt, they hate you. And if they love you, they love your butt, man. I mean, that's what I've learned through the years. I'm not trying to make anybody happy. I'm not trying to make anybody sad. I'm going to say whatever you give me 10, 15 minutes on this show, 5 minutes, I'm going to tell you what I think. It may be right. It may be wrong. But
we're not always right.
If it pisses somebody off, it just pisses them off. Just like I said that about Brett Bielema. I don't like him. And if that pisses somebody off, so be it. I'll say it again. I don't like him.
Well, I took a lot of heat when I said it was time to make a switch with Mike Anderson. I took a lot of heat for that. Called racist. It was called a knuckle dragging troglodyte by somebody. Like,
what is a knuckle dragging? I don't even know what that is. That wasn't me that called you that. Because hell, I don't even know what that is.
No, it's some infamous individual who continues to get kicked off Twitter because of his racist comments.
That's pretty good, man. I got to learn that. If I ever get pissed at you, I'll call you that sometime.
It's knuckle dragging troglodyte, and I think a troglodyte's like a caveman.
That's awesome, man. I mean, I needed that after this game. I needed that.
It made me chuckle. I'm not gonna lie. I even told him. I said, "Look, that's a good diss, but I'm gonna have to ban you from Pig Trail Network."
I love it. I love it.
This is
pissed at you. You know where it's coming from, man. You know where it's coming from.
Yeah. This is Arky 56. He's kind of infamous. This is actually my dad.
Okay.
If it's not a dead giveaway with the Cardinal logo and the name there. No way our defense will get better. No talent, no coaching, he says. I think that's a little over the top, Pops.
But
there may be some truth to it.
But it's his opinion. It's his opinion. That's fine. You know, like I said, I don't agree with it, but he's got an opinion. He's and you know, anybody who listens and watches this show and tunes in and wants to comment, welcome all opinions. I'm not going to say make fun of people's opinions because like I said, I do opinions and I know when I get off of here 30 minutes later, I know, man, I kicked the crap out of that one. I missed that one bad. And so, I mean, you know, everybody's got opinions and who knows who's right or wrong, but I don't know if the defense will get a whole lot better this year. I'm going to be honest with you, Ty. I'm not going to say about necessarily the coaching, but with the injuries they've got, and I don't know if Slusher can come back. I mean, he's been out. Cat's not coming back. I don't know how much better they can get on defense this season, you know.
There's no you're not, like you said, you're not getting Catalan back. There's no cure-all. I'm not even sure there's really a Band-Aid. Maybe that move of Hudson Clark over to middle safety is a start.
That's his best position. Now you've got to get Malik had his moments at cornerback. He had some moments there. He probably could have gotten one interception. Or at least he was playing the ball on that one because the one in A&M he wasn't playing the ball. But, well, the guy that said that they can beat BYU and that'll cure a lot of listen, wins cure everything. The good thing is after the BYU game, win or lose, they get a bye week. So they'll have 2 weeks to prepare for Auburn. They're going to give Auburn their best shot. And they should be about as healthy for Auburn as they're going to be. You see what I'm saying? They'll have 2 weeks to get healthy, not just prepare, but get healthy, which may be more important than the preparing. They'll have 2 weeks there to shake the funk of maybe a 4-game losing streak or whatever, or a win over BYU, but they'll have a full 2 weeks to get ready for Auburn. Last year, I felt like Auburn beat them because Arkansas was really banged up. They were banged up. So they will go in there and I don't know, Ty. We'll see what happens when they get the bye week. No matter what happens next week, they're going to get a bye week, and then the schedule is going to get easier than it was because I'm telling you, when you look at A&M, Alabama, Mississippi State on the road, Brigham Young on the road, that's not an easy stretch. And I knew it wouldn't be. I picked them to go 1-3 in that stretch in preseason. And that was when they had KJ, when they had Cat, when they had Slusher. And I picked them 1-3 in that stretch. And they still should have beaten A&M. I mean, that's a game. The Alabama game and the Mississippi State games, they lost. But that Alabama A&M game, they beat themselves. But I don't like the penalty. The one thing I'm going to take away before I get off here today is the one thing that really just hacks me. I'm tired of the 10 penalties, man. I am tired of the penalties. This is not a team that's good enough to go out here and commit 10 penalties to. They had 10 penalties for 84 yards, Ty. Mississippi State had 4 for 45. That's where Arkansas needs to be, about the 3. I've heard Sam say that. I'm not being negative anyway. I say that because I've heard Sam say about 3 or 4 penalties is what, that's what a good team does. Not 10 for 84 as opposed to 4 for 45. You're basically, you're doubled them basically. I know 45 be 90 and they got 84, but I mean 10 penalties, and boy, and they come at some bad times too, man. And then I don't know. And a low hog there, undisciplined. And you know what kind of surprises me about this team? Sam, Barry, Kendall are pretty strict disciplinarians. And that's what surprises me about having, we've seen this time. And this is what surprises me about having 10 penalties in game 6, is this team is really the coaches are pretty disciplined nature. They tend to be pretty disciplined. And the team does period. I can see why he puts on there undisciplined, because 10 penalties in week 6 should not be happening to a team that Sam Pittman preaches that stuff. Barry Odom preaches that stuff. Kendall Prowse. And it's not just the offense. You've got pass interference. And I know somebody will shoot back, or probably maybe even the coaches might say, well, part of that is because we've got our secondary is beat up and we're getting pass interference calls against us there. Okay, but still, I mean, it's not like other teams don't have injuries too, Ty. I mean, this is week 6 in college football. I don't know if OU's quarterback, I think he didn't play today. I don't know if I've heard Bryce Young will not play tonight. Max Johnson's not playing tonight, as far as I know. So, I mean,
battle the backup.
You got injuries. And, so I don't know. I just, if you'd have told me that week 6 they were going to have 10 penalties for 84 yards, I would have just said, I don't believe you. Go ahead, Tom. Sorry.
I was going to say it's the 10 penalties, and someone brought it up in chat, and I think it's a really good point. Week 6, the picking apart of the defense, the secondary, finding the gaps in coverage, that's kind of one thing, but it's the missed tackles, and they're so bad. I mean, and it's racking up. I don't know how they fix that, and maybe that kind of goes to it. Maybe they just need a bye week. They don't have that easy FCS opponent, and then a bye week similar to what they had last year to kind of get some things straightened out. Yeah. They don't have that this year. It's like bing, bang, boom.
Yeah, but it's not just the missed tackles. It is the missed tackles. But part of it is too, Ty, when they tackle, they're still letting the guy fall. There can be 2 or 3 tacklers there, and they're still letting the guy get 3 or 4 yards on them, Ty. Right. So, yeah. I mean, that bothers me. I mean, that makes me wonder what's the deal there? Because if you're, I know they've got a good strength and conditioning program over there, and I'm a Jamil Walker fan, but I just don't. I see them. I don't know if they're not wrapping up the right way, but I mean, even when they get there, sometimes they'll be 3rd and 1, 3rd and 2, and the guy will go and and get it.
Spawn Quest says, I don't know if he's talking about us, but I honestly cannot believe Odom is being defended so hard on here. I think you might be the only 2 Hog fans, so he must be talking to someone in chat. I don't know, to think what we have going on defense is fine. Yeah, Otis and I, if that's targeted at us, you're not paying attention, because we absolutely
fine. The first thing I said was the 3-man rush and the 5 in the box is not working.
Yeah,
and I mean, I'm not defending Odom. I'm not going to sit here and blame everything on him, but he's had injuries and stuff. But I'm not defending anybody hard on here. We've also comments I made. I think I hit on the penalties, and I praised Malik for his play, because I haven't ever seen him perform like that. But then I got in. I think my next subject was 3 men in the box and 5-man rush and never missing top.
Yeah, and that could have been targeted at somebody at chat. I don't know, but I just wanted to clarify. Otis and I feel like we kind of talk about that every week. The defense, if that is targeted at us, then you're not here listening to what we say. You're not on.
Said when your dad posted the defense would never get better, I just sat here and said, I don't know if they can get much better this season. Yeah. I did say that. I'm not sitting here and act like the defense is fine. Listen, there's nothing on this team right now that's fine. Maybe the running game.
The assurance that they're going to be that they're not going to put 4 quarters together in a game. That's about the only consistent thing that I see from this team.
Running game.
And special teams penalties. Otis, we're year 3. And these kind of mistakes, you saw how we started the game, and you saw how we started the second half. Special teams.
What happened? Listen, I'll be honest with you. Somebody was at my door, and I ran to the door. What did AJ fumble?
He tried to bring the ball out. He mishandled the ball, and then I was kind of in a similar scenario. I had just gotten home from buying a couple of Pepsi Zeros from Walgreens. Yeah. I walked in as it was happening, but from what I saw, he clearly was trying to bring the ball out. He mishandled the ball, and then, I mean, they're lucky they even
about the half-yard line. Yeah, I got a package. What happens? I got a package in the mail, and the postal guy, I had to, sign for it and stuff, and so I got that right as that starting. I came in here, And I had already written in my notes, Arkansas 1st and 10th, Arkansas 25, 15 minutes to go in the third quarter. So, because I assumed they were going to kick it out the back of the end zone, Ty. So I had to do a lot of erasing or a lot of changing on my notes.
I have been on record, not here, but on my other show, of being a little hard on the special teams coach. Just that, not calling for his job or anything like that. Just, why can't we fix what's going on? And that was last year. And then week 5 on, we started getting, punt return action. We actually had coverage or blocking on punt returns. Bryce Stevens was able to return the ball out a little bit. And the other guy, Nate Perotti, we started seeing positive yards on punt return. We started seeing less mistakes and penalties. And so I backed off. And of course, Cam Little was magnificent last year as a freshman. I was really giving him credit.
Block too after the first couple of
And then this year, it's like they've regressed back to, it's just an expectation that special teams is going to get a flag. If not 1, 2, or they're going to make mistakes or, whatever. Punt coverage has been a little lopsided at times this year. Kick coverage is, that's fine because they're kicking the ball out of bounds most of the time. But there's gaffes every week on special teams.
Cam Little did hit the 51 today. He has not missed since that miss.
He was a bright spot.
So he is getting to be the Cam Little of last year, it appears, because that 51 today. But he has not missed since he missed that one against A&M. So that's because look, why I'm bringing that up. I'm not trying to dispute what you're saying about specialty. Why I'm bringing it up, because after missing that kick against A&M, he's 1 out of 3 on field goals. He could go either direction, Ty. He could go either direction, and because kicking is so much middle, and he's turned around and got. So that's why I wanted to bring that up. I'm not disputing what you're saying. What you said, there's facts out here backing up everything you said about the penalty. Hey, I'm pissed about the penalties on all counts, man. Offense, defense, special teams. There's too many penalties. I'm pointing a finger at all 3 of them. People are talking about being fine on defense. I'm pointing fingers at everybody.
One final thing. Well, really, we've kind of covered a lot of it, but overall, is it now just out of question who QB2 is, Otis? Can we put that to bed? Who clearly QB2 is?
Well, yeah. I would hope so. If Cape Fortin goes out there, I'm sorry. But this is a kid that played 11 games in 4 years, started 2 games, and played at North Carolina and South Florida. And to hear some talk this week, you'd have thought he was the second coming of Tom Brady or something. And I have never seen that. And I know I'm going to piss somebody off over there for telling the truth, but I just don't see it. I've watched him in the spring. I watched him throw some in the summer when I had a chance, a little bit, just hit bits and pieces back during the camp. And then in the fall, and what a little bit we see in preseason before I got sick. I haven't been to a practice since I got sick, but I don't think I missed one. I don't think I missed a practice in preseason, maybe one.
Fall camp, we saw it. You and I both.
Yeah, I was there every time. I haven't been back since I got sick because of the sun issue that I have. But
what you and I said leaving camp was I don't think.
I've never seen what they're talking about him being a very good passer. I even had a guy try to tell me he was a better passer than KJ. And I for the life of me, I can't deal. I don't want to hear that. I don't. But no, Malik should be the number 2. And look, I'm going to tell you what. After seeing it today, I have been saying to everybody that if KJ by chance leaves after this season, they need to sign a grad transfer quarterback or go to the portal for a quarterback and bring in Malachi. But I'll tell you what, very much performances like this from Malik, maybe he deserves to get that start after KJ leaves. He really look. This is a kid that I've never been very high on because of his passing. The UAPB game last year where they didn't score in the second half, I really got down on Malik, and maybe I was being unfair. And I'm not one to. If I say something and it turns out I was wrong, I'll be the first to admit I was wrong. I even wrote that article about being 9-3. But yeah, I've been impressed with Malik, and if he can continue, if he can build off of that, then and not only it's not what I think, he deserves more respect from the coaching staff and stuff, and we don't know what all has gone into moving him to third team. We don't know. There may be some issues I'm sure there's probably issues we don't know about, but I'm telling you, he deserves some respect. He deserves some praise for the game today.
Okay.
And he really put a good mark on his name today. And no, there should not be any question who the backup quarterback is.
I agree, 115%. Yeah, the two picks were, they were what they were. One was a little underthrown. The other one was in double coverage, but it is what it is.
I'm not mad about those. The one pass that he threw that I just questioned was the one he threw that bullet at Matt Landers. He could you or I could have walked in the end zone if Malik had thrown us the ball. I mean, there was nobody near and I wanted to see Matt get his first touchdown. That's the pass that I blame on Malik. I don't blame the interception. The interceptions happened. This kid was trying to make something happen. I don't think they scored off of either one of those interceptions. I mean, they didn't just score. It wasn't like a 98-yard return or something. So right. I'm not critical. Malik really impressed me today, Ty.
Yeah, he did me too. Otis, I appreciate you coming on. We've got Dudley Dawson coming up next, man. Looking forward to it. I'm sure we'll be here. It's your turn this week on Thursday if you're available, 11 o'clock.
Yeah, I'm always available. Like I said, if it's somebody else, that's fine. But if not, I'm always available. If I'm not, awesome. I'll make myself available.
Awesome. Well, I appreciate it. And you guys get on over to hogville.net. Go read the latest from Otis Kirk. Appreciate you, Otis. Oh, he hung up. He hung up before I even got a chance to segue you in. Dudley Dawson wearing that Cardinal gear. I love the Arenado shirt too, man. That's awesome.
Yes. It's from it was an Arenado T-shirt actually before he got to the Cardinals. Think about that. Yeah, he's always been one of my guys.
Yeah, I liked him a lot. I hope they can play a little bit better than they did in game one. I'll just say that. Arkansas loses I'm just going to say it, probably not. I mean, it wasn't the prettiest game, obviously. Arkansas made a lot of mistakes. Otis brought up the 10 penalties. What kind of stood out to you? We'll start with the defensive side of the ball. Good or bad? What stood out to you on the defensive side of the ball?
I think you could, if you looked hard enough, could probably find some, positives. Drew Sanders having 16 tackles, Bumper Pool having 14 and getting the record, all that. But, in the big scheme of things, I think most of the day the defense sucked. Let's just be honest. Whether you had 3 down, 4 down, whatever, whether you were running a cloud 2 or a, I don't know, a Magnavox 3, whatever. You just didn't make plays. The tackling was probably a little bit better today, but you had so much room to improve, with what they've done. Disappointing game for the fans, I'm sure. I'm sure it's disappointing for the players and the coaches as well. Mississippi State, for the most part, had their way.
They did. And it was kind of just, it was like playing backyard football for Mississippi State. That's what it was. And I know someone's going to point out, well, Ty, that's every week for Mississippi State on offense. But Arkansas made it seem like next to zero effort at even trying to slow these guys down.
Yeah, and Mississippi State's offense, sometimes it gets a lot, throws out the air raid and all that Mike Leach used to have, and a gimmick offense and all this. I thought they were pretty balanced and solid today in what they did. They took advantage. They made it clear early on that they were going to establish the run. Ended up rushing for 160-plus yards, I think. Established that, and Arkansas was just pretty much on its heels all day. You look back we talked about tackles. When they got their I was thinking about an old Nolan Richardson phrase. He said they got their hands on a lot of balls. Well, Arkansas did that today, but knocking a pass away is good, but intercepting it is great. And there were 4 or 5 times, I think, when they had the opportunity to come away with interceptions. We saw it one time or a couple times against Alabama as well, when Slusher, I think, flashed, and tried to get an interception. It didn't work out. But, I know they say defensive backs are playing over there because they're not good enough hands that play wide receiver, but that's just a big deal. That when you have the opportunity, when Will Rogers throws one nearer you than he does his receivers, you've got to make a play. If you are not as talented or not playing as well or don't have as much confidence or whatever the plethora of reasons are that Arkansas is going through some major suckage right now.
Yeah, how many drop picks do you think they had today? It had to be at least on the low side 3. I mean, they had these opportunities and they slipped through their fingers or bounced off their chest. I counted at least possibly 3 drop picks.
Yeah, I think the one off of Drew Sanders, he may have, if he had hauled it in, may have run for quite a long way. Would have been a big play, and that was when they were actually making some determined effort to get back in the game.
We have to talk about, and again, Otis, Kirk, and I talked a little bit about this, but Malik Hornsby looked. I mean, other than the 2 interceptions, other than the 2 turnovers, he looked absolutely electric in this offense.
Yep. I mean, you got to give him a lot of credit. That being said, I'm not going to criticize the coaches for not getting him in before then, because I've been around the young man. I've seen his mentality. He has a world of talent, but at times he is not locked in. There are valid reasons why he was pushed back to the number 3 quarterback. There are valid reasons why he jumped into the portal at one time. Valid reasons they let him back. At one point, Lucas Coley sure looked like he was going to be the second string quarterback this year. Yeah. When they allowed Hornsby to come back from the portal. And for all indications, I'm told that Marshall was the only one who was going to give him a shot at quarterback. The others that were looking at him as an athlete as well. It's very well noted that KJ Jefferson talked Malik into coming back. As soon as Malik got back here, you lost Lucas Coley, and so you went from there.
So wait, are you saying when he went into the portal, nobody offered him at quarterback, or do you mean out of high school?
No, I'm talking about when he went into the portal. It was my understanding that Marshall was a team that offered him at quarterback. Said, we would have a spot for you here at quarterback, but nobody else was committed to that. Malik, if you listen to this and I'm wrong, please feel free to tell me. Please feel free to let everybody know. That's my understanding. I do know that, last Saturday at the end of the Alabama game, he was on the bicycle and laughing with fans and stuff, and that did not play well. And that's not something I heard from a source. I sat there and watched it when I was down on the sidelines 5 minutes left. I didn't think it was a good look, but I am excited about what he did today. Obviously completed 7 of his first 10 passes. There were guys wide open because they expected him to run, and that gave, the receivers the ability to get open and do some stuff. I think his mentality was much better today. I am going to give him credit for what he went out there and got done today, but I'm not going to sit here and say that that's what Malik Hornsby has looked like from day one since he got here, that he's been locked in, had the right mentality, known what to do at the line of scrimmage. As Otis was talking about, and you've been there a lot too, while we don't get to see a ton of practice, we get to see enough to make judgments on where a guy is and what he's doing, how his teammates feel about him, how his coaches feel about him. You saw the talent that he has out there. We all know the speed. Don't you think that if he was doing that in practice, that they would love to have him out there? Now, he wouldn't have replaced KJ, but he certainly wouldn't have been booted back to the third string quarterback, which he was rightfully done.
So, and I think the thing that caught Otis and I by surprise was it did feel like the staff felt comfortable with their QB2, QB3 situation, or at least Fortin being the guy. And a thing that Otis and I talked about in preseason during fall camp was that we just didn't see it. I was clueless as to, Malik, maybe it sounds to me like you're suggesting it could be a maturity thing with him.
Absolutely. I'm not suggesting that, I'm telling you.
There you go. I mean, there you have it. I watch the quarterbacks. I try to, you know how it is. You try to, when you're on the sidelines, you try to kind of make your way down there. But the quarterbacks they're usually either in the middle of the field or sometimes they're kind of closer to where we are, but it's kind of hard to pick up on what's going on. And I'm new to all that. You've been doing this for a long time. You could pick up on this stuff like that. I'm over here like, what's going on? What happened? A lot to take in at these practices, but
at the vast majority of practices, and Coach Pittman has commented on this at times, Coach Browse has commented on it. I think it's important for fans to know that we don't get to talk to Coach Browse. We don't get to talk to Coach Odom during the season. We get to them before the preseason practice starts, and they are unavailable. for whatever reason, that's fine. That's how we do things. But we don't get to talk to them. We don't get to have, ask them questions that the fans would like to hear. We have to go through, Coach Pittman and the players. We try to do our best, but it is not a thing, that we get to say, hey, what's this about? And it would be great if we did that once a week, once every 2 weeks would be great. But you take what you get and you go from there. What I would say to people, and again, please don't think I'm trying to knock Malik Hornsby down. I think that he went out today and showed his ability. I think that, you now feel good about him moving forward. But during practices, he often threw it to his teammates, the ones that were dressed in the wrong jersey, the defensive one. That was a thing that coaches mentions. That's a thing that I saw when I was at practices. He just had not taken hold of that second string quarterback thing. And that's why they felt confident in trying to get him out there and showcase that athletic ability, was because of what Cade Fortin was doing in practice. Now, today, it didn't work for Cade. It worked for, I just think I invented a new word, Cade Fortin, Caden. But it worked for Malik today, and I hope he takes that momentum now that he appears to have the right mentality, that he'll continue to mature and get out there. And how much he gets to play the rest of this year, if KJ were to leave or something else happened, you would hope that he could move in and be QB1. You are, as Otis said, I was on here when he was at, you are going to have to go out and get some other people. You're sitting here today. And again, not criticizing Riker Acebo, the freshman from Jonesboro, who is my understanding went on the trip, but he's your fourth quarterback right now. He's Cade Renfro, who transferred from Ole Miss of all places. Continues to heal. They've got to replenish the quarterback room, and I think you do that obviously by bringing in Malachi Singleton, who was on the sidelines last Saturday. Who's injured now for the rest of the year. But you've got to go and get at least one more portal quarterback, if not two. And I think maybe you probably ought to go look for another freshman quarterback. They've got 23 commitments right now. There's not a lot of room, but that is an important position that you've got to take care of.
Is that with the assumption that KJ's going, or do you think that should still take priority even if he stays?
I think that was the narrative at the start of the year when suddenly he was being pumped up as a Heisman Trophy candidate because of the season he had last year, and he did have good numbers. There were many so-called analysts talking about how he was a guy who, was maybe the second or third best quarterback in the league. Obviously the season's not gone like they wanted for him or them. I guess his future as an Arkansas Razorback will depend how he plays for the rest of the year. I do think that it was a fantastic decision to not even entertain the idea of putting him out there today. You don't want to do that to the kid, especially in this last couple of weeks when concussion injuries and all that. And I know they're not using that term over there. I'm going to use it, but I think that was a great decision. Even if there was a slight chance he could play, I don't think this game was important enough to screw up his future, for down the line.
Yeah, I agree. And maybe he's ready to go for BYU. Maybe he's not. I mean, obviously, we'll probably get an update on that on Monday from Sam. But if not,
and I love Coach Pittman, but the update will be we're going to see how he is in practice this week.
That's true.
Could be 4 games. I mean, could be 4 days. Could be 27 days. So hopefully he's ready to go. And again, I love the guy, but he was out there practicing today. I don't know what that means.
Yeah. Just because they're out there doesn't mean anything, and we know that he wasn't. Well,
and to be very clear, I think there's a thing out there that we can just report whatever we want to. There are things that we cannot report or we will not be allowed into practice. I mean, it's just very clear. It's stated. It happens with coaches all over the place, but we do the best we can with what we're allowed to do.
with what we see, and it's not a lot. And to be fair, and just to be fair to the U of A, there are other schools that do not have open practice, and
there are a lot of schools who don't get 20 minutes.
Yeah, they don't get anything at all. So I am fortunate. My first year doing this, I've got to go to practice, although I'm starting to wonder if we're not seeing them. I DM'd some other media people this week asking them, like, hey, do you think there's a possibility they just close off practice next week? So I don't know. I don't blame them if they do, but at the same time, I hope they don't, because I like being able to see kind of what's going on the ground. But, yeah, back to this game. By the way, yeah, hey, subscribe. If you're here, if you're new here, share the word. Make sure you hit the like button. I can't see the amount of likes because I'm using a different format. I'm using something called StreamYard. I'm not on the regular, so I can't see the analytics. But if you guys could like, share, subscribe, go on over to hogville.net for the latest articles written from guys like Dudley Dawson, Otis, Kirk, and Kevin McPherson.
One other thing before we move into something else. Yeah. Again, you and Otis were talking about this. I think somebody sent in that whether it was somebody in the chat or whether it was you two, that we won't criticize Odom or Riles.
Yeah.
That's not true. We do criticize them. This fall, today's defense and the other defensive lapses that they've had fall at Barry Odom's feet. Barry Odom will be the first one to tell you. Not being able to get third down and fourth down and one down there when, early in the first quarter, Kendall Browse will tell you that was his fault. It was his fault. They do know that they need to be criticized. They, have all been great coaches at other places and have done good things here, but they need to be criticized. They will be criticized. They paid a lot of money, and criticism comes with that. When it's not working and you don't win football games, it is everybody deserves blame. Just as when you're winning, everybody deserves praise.
Yeah, I agree, 115%. And we do criticize. And anyone who's followed me long enough, I will absolutely. Now, I'm not able to be at every single press conference. I'm not able to make them all. I try to make as many as I can, which is usually right now the number's about one a week. And those you can't even ask questions because I'm on Zoom. And I don't think we're supposed to ask questions if the media is there in person and in Zoom. I haven't actually clarified that yet. And a lot of stuff, too, also, like I'm trying to work out an interview with Cam Ball. Well, I got to go through the U of A on that. Unless it's an NIL deal, you got to go through the U of A. I got to talk to the SID. And I've got to hook up to Cam Ball. It's not as easy. We follow each other on Twitter. I could be able to go in his DMs and say, hey, man, come on the show. Let's do this. It's not that simple, right? There's always these extra steps that we have to go through too as well. Every university is like that. I don't think, from what I understand, talking to other people who cover other teams, every school's like that. That's not exclusive to Arkansas, but we're thankful for the coverage that we get, and we try to we give you the most honest opinion that we can get. There are a lot of other places that will kiss some rears. I'm not targeting anybody in hog media. I'm just saying in general, we don't do that. We're going to tell you how we feel. That's why I like this fit with me at Hogville, because I'm allowed to say, like, hey, if I got an issue, let's discuss it, right? I'm not held back. At least I haven't yet. Then again, I haven't really I haven't stepped on any lines or anything yet. Let's focus back to the game really quick. And again, talk to Otis about this as well. The secondary, yeah, they gave up 395. Okay, sure. But Mississippi State does that. I think Will Rogers has had something like 7 games where he's thrown for 400 or more. He's thrown for a plethora of 350 or more. I really thought the secondary did take a step forward this week. Is that kind of fair to say with that move with Hudson Clark to middle safety, or am I off? Am I missing something?
Well, once I go back and review the film, as I try to do each week, I'll have a better indication. I know that sounds like a coach, but when you're watching a game, whether you're a coach or media, you're kind of locked into the moment. What I would say is that I saw Hudson Clark flash a couple of times from back there at safety. It appears that may be a better spot for him. Guy that played a lot of snaps today with Miles Slusher out was Kari Johnson. He ended up having 9 tackles today. A lot of those obviously was because they got in the secondary, but I think he's coming on. I'm really, wondering at what point you got the two freshmen cornerbacks that they got out of Tennessee when they might be given a shot, to go ahead and get some experience. I'm sure you want to save them and just let them play 4 games. But Anthony Brown and Jalen Lewis are 2 guys that they were very high on coming in. And I know college coaches don't like to play freshmen that much. But those are guys that have some great athletic ability. They were really high thought of. I'm anxious to see if they'll start giving them some time, just as, with Kari Johnson this week, taking advantage of his. I think he did have 1 penalty, but at least he was near people.
Yeah. Yeah. I saw that. And I also saw Christopher Poop-Hall come in and get some quality time today as well. That's a redshirt freshman, but still. What surprised you more? I want to do this. I want to try and do this every week if I can remember. What was more surprising? Malik Hornsby's performance, or the fact that, and this is coming from Arkansas Razorbacks, this is coming from the stat board, that Arkansas had 0 sacks, 0 tackles for losses. What's more surprising to you?
Well, that's a pretty good question. And you could go either way. I would say that from being down on the field with 5 minutes left to go last week, I'm surprised that Malik Hornsby played and played so well. So I think that's probably more surprising. When you decide to do the cloud 2, have the 3 safeties back there covering a third of the field, the cornerbacks, in the flats, and Sanders and Bumper Pool, playing the middle there. When you go into that, you're not. I didn't expect a ton of pressure, so I would say probably Hornsby. Coming from reports that he had cleaned out his locker, town, all these kind of things. And what was interesting, I think you were probably in on it with us last Saturday there, we were getting reports that that's what has happened, but we can't report that. You can't report that off a rumor. You've got to have a lot of people, 3 sources is kind of the journalistic thing to make sure that if you're going to do that, Malik may have been the main source you needed to talk to. He came out and clarified that Monday on himself. But yeah, I wasn't sure he was going to be on the roster as of Monday. But not only was he on the roster, he clearly put in the work in practice today or this week in preparation. They felt good with starting Cade Fortin. It obviously, as soon as he got in the game and ripped off that 52-yard run, the torch was passed. And although he didn't, he may have not came strong, in the second half and gone home. He still, that gives you some hope for the future if you're a fan of Arkansas quarterbacks. And you would hope that you have both of those guys. And obviously Malik wasn't 100%. He had to go out and went into the injury tent and all that. So you hope you would have those 2 quarterbacks ready to go next week at a very good BYU team who plays at Notre Dame tonight. That's not going to be an easy game at all. In fact, I'm sure that BYU will probably be, 10 to 12 point favorites, something like that right now as they go in there. And I am going to be interested to see. I do know there's a clear QB1, and that's KJ Jefferson. And I saw somebody pointed out that he's not improved this year. Well, I don't know whether he is or not. I know that he could throw the ball to 16 last year, Burks, and he made plays. And that would make anybody a better quarterback. You thought they might have more diversity in the wide receivers this year. Hey, and speaking of that, Bryce Stevens, who had the big punt return early in the year, a touchdown pass today, and I think he had another catch. So he's getting into things. Maybe, things will move a little bit faster and everything will work for them. But, I think we go back to this. How do you get – if KJ is going to be your one, and I'm sure he is, how do you get Malik on the field in situations to where it's not so telegraphed that the ball's either going to go to him or they're going to fake it to him? That is the quest and the challenge they've got this week. I don't believe too much in BYU's defense. I do in their offense. You're going to have to go out there and score a bunch of points, and obviously turnovers are going to be a big deal. But I'm curious as to see what it looks like next Saturday afternoon at 2:30 in Provo, Utah.
Yeah, that will be a fascinating event. However that unfolds, first off, obviously at that point, we're going to know a little bit more about what's going on with KJ. We'll try to keep you guys.
Dominique Johnson again today too.
Oh, I know. Yeah.
I'm going to be honest. I think Rashad Dominion is a very good talent. He's going to have the potential to be a great back here.
Mm-hmm.
If you're going to run that play down there, use your 6'3", 243-pound running back,
battering ram
Johnson or Rocket. Rocket's a big kid too. Yeah. I didn't think that was the time. Of course, I didn't think it was the play either. But that's neither here nor there.
That's kind of been a reoccurring theme with Kendall. Like it seems like he uses the wrong back in certain downs. We saw this earlier this year, I think, if I remember right, and we saw it last year where he'd call in, a run play to a smaller back or to the wrong guy on a 3rd and short or 4th and short scenario. They bring in someone a tad bit smaller. I feel like we saw that with Treylon a couple of times last year, and we've seen it this year.
TJ, don't forget about the TJ Hammonds place. There was always a TJ Hammonds play.
Oh my gosh, yeah, yeah. I don't know. It seems to me pretty obvious. I'd like to give it to my big battering ram of a running back. Nothing against Dominion. I love Dominion. I thought he looked pretty good today, but I don't know that on that play.
Choices I had if I was the offensive coordinator and head coach down there when you're trying to be a power guy, and although it should have been a touchdown on 3rd down, I would have run it twice there. I would have run it twice with maybe 2 running backs into the ball game. I don't know, something, and also I think if maybe they didn't want Malik to run the ball very much, but if he pulls that, if he puts it in the belly and pulls it, I think he walks into the end zone.
Yeah.
Good point with CFB with Ash right there. It seems that's the case.
Yeah, I agree. I'm gonna do my burst. I was gonna say I was gonna do like a quick question round, but I'm gonna pass that off this week. Didn't really have time to rehearse it, but I was gonna do like a burst. Like, here's a question, quick answer, boom, and then like a, what do you call that? Where you're just throwing questions out really quick, a fire round.
Yeah, I've been far too loquacious today.
All right, I'll save that for another time. But I liked your response on the more surprising question, whether it was the TFLs, the lack of TFLs, absolute 0 TFLs, or quarterback play by Hornsby. I'm gonna pull my best. Here's a Josh Bernaccini. Here I'm gonna do my best Josh Bernaccini. That's a good take out of you. I like that take out of you. Look at you, Dudley Dawson. For those of you who watch Josh or listen to Josh Bernaccini in the mornings on 921 The Ticket. But yeah, disappointing loss. Arkansas again. They dropped 40-17. This is one you hope that maybe Malik Hornsby can build some confidence in, right? Kind of something to look forward to out of him. Hopefully, I'd like to keep him out of the portal if at all possible. And like you said, maybe he needs a little bit of he is still a kid after all. Maybe he'll mature a little quicker, and hopefully this game again kind of gives him a confidence boost, if you will. Yeah, and we've got a few people that are kind of, they're on the ledge and they're jumping off in chat. But, listen, there is still the opportunity to get better. There's still the opportunity to get better. And there's still a lot of football left. BYU's up next. Like you said, it kind of feels like a lot like this week where Arkansas would have to score about 45 points to win. I felt that way about this game. I feel that way about about BYU on the road next week, Dudley. So, but we'll see what happens this week during practice. What I love too, though, we saw it in fastball this week. We saw Samuel Bakke line up at corner. Now, we didn't see that, and I told people we're probably not going to see that. I didn't see him on the field, but we did see Hudson Clark line up at middle safety. We reported that. We talked about that. I talked about it on my show, and I'm pretty sure someone at Hogville, I'm sure, wrote about it if I missed it. But it was reported. We actually saw it in fastball, and it actually happened on the field. And I think that was the right step in at least the right direction for the secondary, Dudley.
Yeah, what do they say? If you continue to do the same things you've done, you're going to get the same results. So at least they're trying to do a few things to differently, because something's got to change.
I agree. It's pretty rough right now. All right. Well, our hour is up. I do appreciate Otis, Kirk, and Dudley Dawson taking time out of their post game. I know you've got a busy schedule later. Well, I mean, I'm sure you've got a lot of writing and stuff to do. And
so happy that his team played so well, and I'll be writing a story about that. And
there you go.
And we'll watch a little TV and do a little research later on, I guess.
Are you going to watch your Cowboys take that L tomorrow to my Rams?
I will be watching the game whether they take the L or not. I don't know that you are in a position to just think you're.
I'm not.
I'm certainly not. But you did get the Super Bowl win last year, so you've got that.
The way I put it is, I've been a Ram fan since '94. I've been through worse, but I do think this year is going to be pretty rough. And I took the Rams to win this, but I think it's going to be a bottom of the fourth quarter kind of game.
I hope so, since it's out there.
Yeah.
That's the case.
That's the only reason why I'm taking the Rams, because it is a home game.
Definitely take a Cowboys L tomorrow if I can have a Cardinal win tonight.
Oh man, yes. Hopefully the Cardinals can pick it up. All right, guys. Again, thank you. Make sure you go over to hogville.net for the latest and greatest. It's all free over there at hogville.net. This is free as well. You can subscribe, like, share. We do appreciate each and every one of you. And we will see you. Well, I'll see you guys on Monday on Tuss Talk, and then we'll see you on Thursday here on Hogville.net YouTube to get ready for BYU. Dudley, thanks a lot, man.
You bet. I'm frozen.
You are. You're frozen in place. You're frozen in time.
You should see what I'm doing now.
We'll see you guys around. Be good.